Welcome to Slap Grapple. Hello and welcome to a special edition of Slap Grapple Pop with your girl Cresta Star. As you clearly see, my microphone is broken, so we're going to be holding it in our hands together this time. Thank you so much for being here, guys. We've got a jam-packed episode. No, we don't. I'm only going to be talking about Raw tonight, TNA, and AEW Collision. So let's get into some news before I go over reviews, quote unquote. Let's talk about AEW Revolution. That was March 9th, 2025. There were a few major talking points, one of them being Konosuke Takeshita dropping the international title to Kenny Omega. Another main talking point was Toni Storm beating Mariah May in a bloody match, including one time someone getting punched in the cooter with glass on their fist. Gross. And we also rounded out the night with Jon Moxley beating Copeland with a cash-in from Christian. Now, from sources, I'll be honest with you, I did not watch it because your girl was geeked from Monday Night Raw and I was but getting all my stuff together. But from what I understand, a lot of people said that Toni Storm and Mariah May should have closed the pay-per-view, and that Mox, Cope, and subsequently Christian Cage was very overbooked. Go ahead and watch AEW Revolution if you get a chance. I heard it was really, really, really good, except that the last match was overbooked. Again, I didn't watch it, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. I'm just here to give you the facts. Also this week, we did have NXT Roadblock, if you're into that sort of thing, which saw Fraxium, which is Nathan Frazier, and Axiom take on the Hardy Boys, Mr. Dun 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 Dun, and they defended their TNA championships inside of an NXT ring. The Hardy Boys do retain. Also on this lovely NXT Roadblock card, we had Jordynne Grace versus Roxanne Perez, and avid Jordynne Grace fan, she does beat Roxanne Perez that night. We also had TNA star Moose versus Obafemi for Moose to lose to Obafemi, who I met at Monday Night Raw, by the way. We also had Javante Evans taking on All Ego Ethan Page, which Javante Evans does pick up the win. And in your final main event, we do have a winner take all, which Julia, who is your NXT Women's Champion, versus Stephanie Vaquer, who is your North American Women's NXT Champion. Stephanie Vaquer does pick up the win over Julia, thus now making her the first woman in NXT to hold 2 titles. And that's going to round up NXT Roadblock. And that's pretty much going to finish up our news as well. Let's get into reviews, especially Monday Night Raw, and I can't wait to tell you about it. So last week, your girl was invited by Netflix to go and see Monday Night Raw at Madison Square Garden. I had known about this for like about 2 weeks, but didn't want to spill the beans. And when I say I had a good time, she had a good time. You first walk in, I went through the VIP entrance, get into it. Yes, God. Went up to a suite. Yes, God. Unlimited food, unlimited booze. I'm not much of a drinker now because I'm an old lady, but the food was nice. The chicken cutlets were nice. The burgers were nice. Everything was so nice. My only complaint is that I'm afraid of heights, and we were very high up, and your girl was shaking, panicking, spookadookered. So, besides that, the seats were really nice. Everything was really nice. Everyone I met there was really nice. Shout outs to a gentleman who I met there. His name is Justin. He had me in stitches all night, and everyone thought that I worked for WWE, except the people who worked for WWE, because of course you know your coworkers. But I was just talking to people, being myself, reaching out there. I guess I could try to do a review of the show, but like I wasn't watching Monday Night Raw, so I had to go back and rewatch Monday Night Raw. So I'm gonna give you my 2 cents as I break down the matches and tell you what I was doing at the time. So the first match of Monday Night Raw was Jey Uso versus Grayson Waller. I was not really paying attention. Like I said, I was talking, yapping it up, and explaining to one girl named Dory and another girl named Danielle who Jey Uso is and who Grayson Waller is. And while Danielle is looking up who Grayson Waller is she's like, I thought you were saying Jason Waller. I will admit Grayson Waller is a very confusing name. Also want to point out that I saw on Twitter via Kev on Stage, Kev on Stage was singing, it's just me, ooze. Day one is just me, ooze. So please get your church voices and your robes accordingly for WrestleMania. I think at that point next, it was a Logan Paul segment, because that's the next thing I remember. Logan Paul came out and I was immediately sports disinterested. But luckily for me, Lyra Valkyria came up to where we were and we got to chit chat with her. She is so nice, very soft spoken. Or maybe, New York City, you made me proud. You were booing the mech out of Logan Paul. Honestly, she's so awesome. She's so tiny. Yeah, she's very tiny. I will say that, again, I could barely hear the poor girl because New York was booing Logan Paul while he was out there on stage. The title on her, pristine, very nice girl. And she said it was like her first time in New York. So you know what? You ate that, Lyra Valkyria. Yes. You know what? Shout out to Lyra Valkyria. We also get a promo from Cody Rhodes. And he says in his promo that he has the heartbreaking privilege of beating John Cena. He'll never see number 17. He also makes mention, I guess, again, to The Rock, saying that it's corny and carnival-like to point out stats when the business, we know what's best for business. He also alludes to the fact that business may have changed. This was a good match. This was also an excuse for me to get up the footage that I took up there. Now, I couldn't tell you what happened next, but I can tell you what did happen next for me. Your girl got to meet Obafemi. Obafemi is so tall. Huge fan, me personally, because you get to beat up Moose. Yes, Moose. Beat him up. They did have their match on NXT Roadblock, like I said before. He did beat Moose, so bye. Get up out of here. He's so nice, so kind. He was asking for steak recommendations. We didn't talk shop or anything. I was just shooting a crap with him. He's also very funny, very kind. He took pictures with all of us. He made time to take pictures with all of us. So I will say Obafemi is a stand-up gentleman. I have nothing but positive things to say about him. He's number one. And I don't care if he's like, oh, Cresta, you're glazing because you damn right I am. You damn right I am. You know what? Also on this fine Monday Night Raw at MSG, we did have BlueSky come out for an in-ring promo. She talks about how happy she is to go to WrestleMania and it's her dream. And this is something she's always wanted. This prompts Bianca Belair to come out in a pantsuit that eats, by the way. And she talks to BlueSky saying, you know, we're going to have a banger, we're going to have a really good match. This then, of course, brings out Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley screaming, what was the reason? What was the reason you were out there, Bianca Belair? Were you trying to block my shine? What was the reason? Thinking that this was all part of the plan. Bianca says that wasn't part of the plan. Io's like, hey, I'm still here. They both mush BlueSky, very reminiscent to that time where Charlotte and Rhea Ripley were arguing in NXT and Bianca Belair couldn't get a word in edgewise and they kept mushing her. This does end out with BlueSky slapping both ladies and leaving the ring, as she should. You need to put respect on my name, whether you two broads like it or not. I'm the captain. I'm the champion now. So that was that segment. Rounding out Monday night at MSG, we do have Seth Rollins versus CM Punk in a steel cage match. Now, before this match started, I was like, how are they going to get out of this? The gentleman who was standing next to Justin, shout out to Justin, he was like, Roman has to come back. And I was like, but then I remembered last week, Rhea lost to BlueSky clean. So I was like, anything can happen. And this match gets underway. It's going really well. No one knows who's going to beat who. And sure enough, Roman Reigns comes out, attacks Seth Rollins, drags him out the cage, which makes Seth Rollins win. CM Punk is mad, but CM Punk don't know what happened. Roman Reigns gives Seth a stomp. You have the officials come and separate them. But now, mind you, Paul Heyman in the ring tending to CM Punk, his ex-girlfriend. Because if you don't know, CM Punk used to be a Paul Heyman guy. So now Roman Reigns is like, no, you're my wise man. You're my bitch. What are you doing? So now Roman Reigns is staring down Paul Heyman, and I think he beats up CM Punk just for good measure. I don't know how that's going to turn out. WrestleMania is going to be real interesting, especially with that dynamic. Even if it's not for a title, it will be. But like, girl, I can't wait to see how that turns out. That's also going to be my Monday Night Raw review. I had a fantastic time at MSG. Again, thank you so much to Netflix PR for inviting your girl Cresta Starr, and hopefully I'll see them again in New York at some time. There is no AEW Dynamite review this week. I watched it but took no notes. So go ahead and watch Wrestling on Wednesday on AEW Dynamite if you dare. So Thursday brings us to our TNA Impact show, and this was the go-home show to Sacrifice, which was on the next night. I'll be real with you, this was a show that was definitely taped, that definitely took place. So I'm going to give you my highlights, and if you want an in-depth review, as always, head on over to Fightful over on YouTube. Myself and Joe Pearl give you all the in-depth reviews for TNA Impact, but this is just going to be my highlights. The main thing you should go out of your way to see on this TNA card would be the Mike Santana, Mustafa Ali Summit. They both sit down with Tom Hannafin, who is mediating between them. Ali begins to tell Santana how he's never faced adversity. You haven't lost for 6 months. And when you will face adversity, you'll face a lot of pressure. And when you face a lot of pressure, it's going to drive you to drink. And you're going to get off the wagon. And then we're going to be right back at square one. To which Santana fires back and says, you know, you call me an addict, and you're right, I am an addict. I'm an addict for this business. I'm an addict for these people. Eventually, Mustafa says something along the lines of, you're going to disappoint the people, you're going to disappoint the fans, and most importantly, you're going to disappoint your daughter, which sends Santana into a rage, rightfully so, and he attacks Mustafa. That leads to the great hands, attacking him and laying Santana out, to which Ali then puts a glass of red wine by this man's head. The same bottle of red wine he tried to gift him during the summit, mind you, knowing that this man is sober Cobra. Bro, puts it by his head and is like, yo, you're gonna need this when you wake up. Man, when I'll say it again and I'll keep saying it. The way TNA has presented Mike Santana's sobriety has been with such a reverence and very well respected. And then this storyline is so razor sharp I'm sports entertained, I'm sports engaged. This is cinema. I encourage you, if you were ever confused about what Mike Santana and Mustafa Ali could do, I implore you to watch this. I implore you to watch the match that's gonna happen at Sacrifice on Friday. Well, it happened already, but it's good. This is sports entertainment, baby. Another segment worth watching is Steve Maclin trying to get his house in order, if you will, his life together. He goes out writing poetry. Joe was like he's writing slam poetry or something. But Steve Maclin's literally in the woods drinking whiskey, minding his business. Here comes Eric Young, and Eric Young, Steve Maclin pours him a drink. So it's not bad blood between each other. Maclin pretty much tells Eric Young, bro, we're cool. There was a time you were the only person I would talk to, but I'm not rocking with you as long as you're rocking with the Northern Armory. Eric Young is like, it's not that deep. Trust me. He said, actually, by he, I mean Steve Maclin. He's like, actually, you know what? You can see yourself out the same way you saw me in. The same way you saw yourself in, rather. To which Eric Young has a really weird smirk. He not wrong. Maclin out in the middle of nowhere, and here you come pulling up. The Northern Armory tried to kill Maclin. Zip-tied him and everything. You cannot blame him. He's being nice to you. I foresee Eric Young pulling some sucker stuff on Steve Maclin, and it's going to be a good program. Rounding out that episode of TNA Impact, we do have Joe Hendry come out ready to fight a mystery opponent that Santino has selected for him. Before Santino can tell him who it is, Ryan Nemeth comes out and does the my big brother shtick and tells us that Nick Nemeth will be back tomorrow, which would be Friday that day, and that his brother has gifted him his contractually obligated rematch against Joe Hendry for the title. I don't believe it. I'm just saying. He doesn't let Santino say yes or no. He goes down there and gets a standing ovation for his troubles. That match was like 2.3 seconds. Santino says, I don't know what that's about. And then he announces that Hammerstone is going to be Joe Hendry's opponent. This was a really stiff match, and one of the stiffest matches I think Joe Hendry has had in a while with someone like Alex Hammerstone. I think that Hammerstone, and someone like Hammerstone rather, is next for Joe Hendry if you want to talk about people and their credibility. Hammerstone did announce on social media earlier that day that this was going to be his last match in TNA and that he was finishing up. So that would be TNA on March 13th, and that wraps that. There's no SmackDown or TNA Sacrifice review because I simply just didn't have time this week. And also, SmackDown had the audacity to be in Barcelona and come in at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Ugh, I'm spoiled. I take my wrestling at 8 p.m. only. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to Collision, AEW version. This was also definitely a show, in my opinion, that happened. It transpired. If you want to get my full in-depth again, over on Fightful on YouTube, myself, Iridian, and Rick, we talk about everything in depth, but I'm just going to be giving you the highlights, the hits, and the crits, baby. One of the main through lines of AEW Collision on Saturday was Thunder Rosa versus Megan Bayne. Megan Bayne, last week had attacked Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa the week prior as well. And Thunder Rosa was in the middle of a promo with Lexi Nair backstage saying that Megan Bayne shows nobody respect, she's a jerk, all these things for Megan Bayne to come out and pump kick the crap out of her. Later on in the evening, Thunder Rosa and Megan Bayne do have a match, and Thunder Rosa at the very beginning looked like she was going to do something. And then Megan Bayne pretty much just dog walked this poor girl the whole match. And that says a lot because Thunder Rosa is someone who, in my opinion, is at the top of the card. And at points, I thought Thunder Rosa was dying, throwing a damn towel. I can't wait to see what they do with Megan Bayne, but what a splash. What a way to start in AEW. I wonder if this leads to Toni Storm or maybe even Mercedes Moné. So we'll see how that goes. We did have a Mark-ass match. And what I mean by that, we have Mark Briscoe versus Mark Davis. And I said this on the post show. I would love nothing more than Mark Briscoe, whose everything is themed after chicken. He got a chicken farm, all that. He needs to get sponsored by Popeyes. Because that's free. That is so free there. This match was really good. Unfortunately, Mark Davis... no, not unfortunately Mark Davis. Mark Davis does pick up the win. Unfortunately, Mark Briscoe gets pinned. Too many marks in one match. The Don Callis family and the Meat Marauders, aka the Murder Machines, come out to attack Mark Briscoe so Mark Davis can get the pin. Mind you, the Meat Marauders all night were beating up these 4 men. They had a match later on and beat up those 4 men anyway. But honestly, the Murder Machines need to be stopped. Your main event on Collision was a tag match between Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, accompanied to the ring with Adam Cole, versus FTR, which includes Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and they were also accompanied to the ring by Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole were both on commentary. This match was a good match, hold for hold. They almost went to the time limit draw. We do get a clean finish with a shatter machine from FTR. Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole on commentary was hilarious. They were praising and there was also glazing. So do with that information as you will. And I'm not mad at it. So we do get the shatter machine from FTR on Undisputed Kingdom, and they all go to shake hands in the ring. Daniel Garcia shakes Adam Cole's hand, and FTR, Dax Harwood, almost called him FTR bald. Dax Harwood doesn't shake the hand, and neither does Cash Wheeler. And that was your Collision. I was gonna talk about more, but honestly, Collision was a show that happened. The commentary was the best part about Collision, as the wrestling was fine as always, but storylines, there wasn't really much of that. If you want to go and listen to the Collision commentary, Nigel and Tony out of order that night, out of order. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about our fashion girly of the week. It goes to Jade Cargill in her SmackDown interview outfit with Kathy Kelly. It's here somewhere. Listen, it's here. How beautiful. How beautiful. The hair together. Do you see any lace? I sure don't. The body together. That top, the makeup, the earring, everything eats. Jade looks so good here. So props to you, mama. Well, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Slap Grapple Pop. It wasn't as meaty as I thought it was going to be, but that's mainly because I was really stuck in the weeds with Monday Night Raw. I thought I was going to do some media. I thought I was going to be out here with my recorder on the beat, but it wasn't that, and that's okay. Sometimes I like to over-prepare just to be in case. If you had a good time, please consider following me, subscribing, leaving a comment, sharing this with your friends. And if you're having a really good time and you want to keep the conversation going, please consider following me on all forms of social media. Down here, you can see me on TikTok, Instagram, BlueSky, YouTube, and Twitch, all at Cresta Starr, except for Twitter, Elon Muskrat is gonna be Cresta the Star, like Megan the Stallion. All right, that's it for me this week, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere on the internet, even the hub, but you were here with me, and that does mean a lot. So heart, stars, and horseshoes, and may all your hits be crits, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye now. Go to the store and buy your own. I can't take my free gum.